Whether you visit our many historic sites, explore our thousands of acres of parks, launch a business, or study at one of our acclaimed universities, you'll agree Mercer County has it all. Mercer County, picture yourself here. Mercer County Executive Brian Hughes and the Board of Commissions are proud to sponsor Mercer Local Influencers.
Presenting Mercer Local Influencer, featuring leaders in our community whose positive influence is bringing energy, growth, and vitality to Mercer County. Presented by YourTownTube.com, Fifth Feb and WellTube, and Stimulus Brand.
Good day, Mercer County. This is John Gertica and the Mercer Influencer. My guest today, I'm so excited to have, is John Harmon. John Harmon and I have known each other for years. He is a local influencer, but also a state and national influencer. John, welcome to the show.
Delighted to be here with you, John. Anytime to hang out with you is a great time.
That's great to hear. Thank you so much.
Yes.
You and I have roots in a bank that you once worked for, but I want to go back to sort of the beginning of your career because you grew up in Trenton. Mm-hmm. You went to Trenton Central High School.
Yes.
And I think you were working in a Ford dealership as a mechanic, right, during high school?
Haldeman Ford. I worked Firestone. Yes.
And some bug bit you to go to college. You went to Mercer County Community College. Tell us a little bit about sort of that transitional period of your life.
I tell you, as you look back over the years, that really changed my life. While at Trenton High, I did part-time in the books and part-time in vocational. So I wanted to be an auto mechanic and diesel mechanic. Also spent some time at Mercer Vocational School. But in my spare time, I would hang out at Mercer County College and play basketball and literally hustle folks on the pool table. And these three women, Von Sell Emmons, Martha Baker, Martha Gunning, I still remember them to this day. They approached me and said, "Hey, John Harmon, if you're here every day, you should be enrolled in school." And that's how I got enrolled in Mercer County.
So they were your influencers at that time.
Absolutely.
At that time. And then during because you did an associate's degree at Mercer Community College, you had some good professors, some good teachers, mm-hmm. and they also gave you some mentorship and said there's life beyond this, correct?
I've been fortunate. There's always been folks around me that has helped me. President Obama said that no one's successful on their own, and I can tell you that I am who I am because people have saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. I'm one of 7 kids, John, the only one to go and complete college. I had an older brother that went to the College of New Jersey, Trenton State at the time.
Right.
Played baseball, but he didn't finish. But I happened to finish, and the rest is history. From Mercer, then over to Fairleigh Dickinson, then into New York.
And Fairleigh Dickinson, you were part of a business management program. That was your major. Again, you probably had the influence of some very good professors there who encouraged you to seek a program through the Bowery Bank.
That's correct. I chuckled to myself. Fairleigh Dickinson had 3 campuses. Mm-hmm. I chose the Rutherford campus primarily because it was small, but when I drilled down into the demographics, it was 3% black. And so I said to myself, I'm born in Trenton, predominantly black and brown community all my life. I needed to get an understanding of how other people lived and how they coexisted. And Fairleigh turned out to be the right choice. I got called into career services. I had signed up for a management training program at the Bowery Savings Bank. And I came over, they called me, I came over, responded, they invited me over for an interview, and somehow I convinced them to take a shot on me.
But you were one of 120 candidates, so it wasn't just your charm and good looks that got you that job.
It's always the nuance to everything. It was 151 applicants, right?
151.
But here's the rub, John. So I show up there, and I want the viewers to get the visual. I have an afro like Michael Jackson or Julius Erving.
This is 19 80?
83.
83, all right.
I have on a tan suit. It was even more tanner than President Obama's suit with a. But I come to the registration. Lady says, confirm I'm in the right place. Send me inside this room, and I open up this door, which was like 20 feet high, and I enter into this room that was full of people. It was full of folks. They're networking, they're talking, and I'm hearing folks talk about what schools they're from, Harvard, NYU, Columbia, Yale, all the big name schools, Hofstra. And I paused, literally, and had to gather myself, John. And I'm sure young people today get those moments when they may be somewhat intimidated, don't know what to do. That was me. I literally went to the corner in that room and gathered myself. I said, you're John Harmon from North Trenton, and you're here for one of these jobs. So get yourself together and get back in the game. I go back, they call me in, and I had 6 consecutive interviews that day. And I was spent, John. And when I left the building, I'm walking down 42nd Street. I didn't care if I had the job or not. I was headed home, and later that evening they called me.
Oh, that's awesome. So you were your own influencer at that point.
I'll take a little credit for that. Yes.
Good. And then that role gave you a cross-section of the banking industry.
That's
so housing must have, and mortgage financing must have clicked some buttons for you, because you ended up running the program at Chemical Bank.
That's correct.
And as I said to you before we sat down, I worked for Chemical Bank in my career when I started in this area, and I was a beneficiary this is 1990. I came to the area, and the affordable housing program there was just state of the art at that time. And you were responsible for helping to put that together. Tell us about your role there.
So just a little bit back to the Bowery, and I'll come into this.
Great.
So there was 151 candidates. They chose 12.
Right.
The only African American chosen, and I got assigned to real estate. Initially, I was in the appraisal department, so I learned how to evaluate residential and commercial real estate, and then subsequent to that, I moved over into residential lending, 1 to 4 family condos, co-ops, and this went on for a little over a year because I was on track to be a future bank president through this program. And then the bank was sold. And then I got snatched up and went over to Chemical Bank and was assigned to residential real estate. And I created this affordable housing program in partnership with GE Credit. They had a nice template, and we married that with some ideas, and we launched this program. So I was ultimately responsible for New York, Connecticut, and New Jersey. Providing access to capital as it relates to 1 to 4 family.
Right.
And it was great, man. I loved it. Every day I came in to work trying to make a difference.
Well, I felt that influence when I came into that fold. And when we looked at that program, it provided us as loan officers and as a group an education in what it was like. Because I can tell you from where I grew up, access to capital was based upon what your parents taught you and your credit score. But I think a lot of people didn't have that access or don't to this day have that access.
Right.
So I think the responsibility for us as bankers is to get that education out into the marketplace. And here you helped frame one of the programs that was preeminent at that time.
John, you said a mouthful there. So when we look at the state of New Jersey, there's 1.2 million blacks in the state of New Jersey. Most indicators, we're on the liability side of the state's balance sheet. Poverty, unemployment. 35% of blacks own homes in New Jersey. So the other 65%, what are they doing? Are they renting? Are they sheltering with someone else? Are they living on the streets?
Right.
But having access to the resources to acquire a home, that is the pathway to create wealth. Net worth for blacks in New Jersey is $5,900 versus $315,000 for whites. So your ability to get someone into a home they can leverage that resource to send kids to college, start a business. But that is kind of the cornerstone of getting to a better life.
So you've helped shape this market, but you're also working in New York.
That's
with
correct.
The African American Chamber of Commerce, Black Chamber of Commerce
Of
there.
New York, yes.
And that follows your formation of the Chamber of Commerce here in the state
Yes.
for African Americans.
Yes.
So that's important work. And it started in Trenton for you again, back to Trenton.
Trenton makes, the world takes. That still exists. And, I came up in a working class family, working class neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Trenton was a very industrious town. You could quit a job on this side of the street and go across the street and get another job. Everyone was working, everyone was doing something. And today, my hometown is struggling to reach its full potential. And so I still live there. I'm an optimist. I'm here to lend help where I can and encourage others to do the same. But Trenton is struggling right now.
Right, and it takes a group of people, it takes a lot of influence to make that happen. We're going to take a little break right now for a message from our one of our producers, Stimulus Brand, and we'll be right back with John Harmon.
Hi everyone, I'm Tom McManaman from Stimulus Brand. Is it time for a new business logo? Your logo is a graphic representation of what is uniquely your brand. Uniquely your brand. If you're comfortable being like everyone else in your category, then searching stock sources for a cheap logo might be fine. But if you are unique and look to distinguish your brand, you should seek a professional designer to create your brand mark. It seems the very best brands have a logo that somehow connects to the customer experience. And you just say, it works. So why not do it right from the beginning? Research shows the more times a logo registers in your brain, the stronger relationship and association you have to purchase that brand. Poor logos often get a lower rate of association, which means more money needs to be spent to gain the same level of brand awareness. If you're able to trim just 1% from your marketing budget by having a recognizable logo, think of the savings. A logo that instills integrity, competence, and leadership has the ability to convert 12% more business. That attracts employees, retains staff, and strengthens sales teams, who now have the confidence to close more sales at higher prices. Over 38 years, I've designed many leading company logos, or I should say, brand marks. And I can tell you that a brand mark that exudes quality creates an immediate association of quality to your brand. And good things happen from there. Learn more at stimulusbrand.com.
Want to expand your mind? How about wandering a 42-acre sculpture park and museum to discover your new favorite artist? Or roaming our gardens to discover your new favorite flower. We have a variety of activities sure to give you the cultural experience you've been yearning for. Come visit us again soon. We've missed you.
Mercer Local Influencers. It's powerful.
Mercer Local Influencers. Sharing is caring.
Mercer Local Influencers. It's powerful.
Mercer Local Influencers. Sharing is caring.
Mercer Influencers. Sharing is caring.
Mercer Local Influencers.
Powerful.
Mercer Local Influencers. Sharing is caring.
Princeton Local Mercer Influencers. Sharing is caring.
We're back at Mercer Influencer with our guest, John Harmon. I invite all of those who are watching this program to do the Google, to do a search on John Harmon, because I could sit here for the next 5 minutes and not complete the list of endeavors that John's been involved in and continues to be involved in. So please do check out John Harmon. I also invite you to look at the website for greatertrenton.org, because we'll be honoring John later on this year in early December. John, thank you again for coming in. I want to get back to the Rutherfords because you are a graduate of Fairleigh Dickinson, but you were also honored recently by them, and you spoke at commencement. Can you tell me what that was like to be out there on the field at MetLife?
Man, I can tell you. Until it hits you, you don't really realize how significant it is, to be totally candid with you. I had the fortune of being a commencement speaker at Burlington County College several years back, maybe 2017 or so. But when I got the invitation to speak at Fairleigh, I prepared, planning just a routine, I'll give my best shot to these students and wish them well. But as I'm sitting there and hearing the president of the college introduce me, it really got my attention. I'm like, they're talking about me. And, I thought about my parents my mother died when I was 17, my dad died in 95, and my mother didn't experience a lot of my accomplishments. But I thought about her, I thought about my siblings, I thought about the students and what I had to share. Would it impact them in a way as the three women impacted my life? And so, John, I laid it all on the line, and somehow I got through it. But it was a real defining moment in my life.
Well, it sounds it, and I know what a trip to MetLife Stadium can be like.
Oh,
and
yes.
You had parents and students and faculty, and everyone's in robes, and now they're calling you doctor.
Yeah. Rutherford North Trent, Dr. Harmon. Oh, God.
Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So, again, you transitioned from college to a banking career, and you were living in Trenton, so you must have been a commuter on the New Jersey Transit line.
Yes.
Tell me about that experience. Did you get to know fellow commuters and people coming from this area going to work?
I could tell you this. What was great then was you could buy a monthly pass for New Jersey Transit and also ride Amtrak. And so that made it so convenient to go back and forth to New York. But I met this guy named George Sowa during my journey. And so, each morning it would be a group of people, and we would just talk about current events, talk about life, family, et cetera, et cetera. And so I kind of look forward to every day this engagement, going up or coming back. It's time you call, hey, man, what train you going to be on? That's when people value people. They value the significance of relationships. So I've known George, over 30 years now, right? At 83 and up until now, maybe over 40 years. But nonetheless, he's a solid human being who's now in my hometown, his hometown. He has roots in Trenton. And we're all working to try to give folks access to resources, opportunities, information to realize their dreams, to start a business, to contribute to the betterment of Trenton. And Trenton has so much potential, but for years it's underperformed. And with people like George and the Greater Trenton Board, all committed to making Trenton better and the people have access to a better life, is what we've come to be all about.
And those casual conversations that one has, whether it's commuting or in the workplace, because we're all talking about, well, what's the face of the workplace going to look like after COVID? It's interesting to hear you say that helped you forge a relationship with George Sowa, who's certainly an influencer. I'd love to get him on this show.
Yes.
Talk about the efforts of Greater Trenton in the area. So I think that's something that our audience and younger folks need to understand.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we all have these devices and we think we're super communicators,
right,
both by text or email or phone calls, but there's nothing like being able to sit with someone for an hour and really talk.
John, I've found over the years that when you sit down and have a conversation with a person, level set, no matter your economic status, you have something in common. There's an exchange that takes place. I learn from you, you learn from me, and we leverage those conversations to make a difference. You may know somebody that I don't know. I may have an idea, and you may know the person that will bring that idea to fruition. That's the significance of diversity, equity, and inclusion. You don't know what you don't know, and you don't know everything. So I often give the example about, Thomas Edison. Folks get enamored. Oh, he created a light bulb. He's amazing. But there was a son of a slave, Lewis Latimer, that created the filament. Without the filament, the light bulb wouldn't stay on. So that's diversity, equity, inclusion, leading to a sustainable outcome that we coexist from a mutually beneficial exchange. And so in part, that's what we seek to do through the African American Chamber of Commerce. If we're all going to live in New Jersey, we have to find a way, a pathway where we coexist, where everybody eats. Everyone has access to a better life. When you have resources, you have options. People with limited resources put them in a predicament where they become desperate, do things that lead to adverse consequences. But if we level set about our differences and acknowledge the deficiencies and the disparities, we find a way to mitigate them, leveraging your network, your intellect. Just step into it, man.
And we're choosing to find a solution as opposed to being told, oh, well, you have to comply with this diversity, equity, and inclusion, because I think both of us have seen the development of those programs,
right.
But it sounds as if from your work, and I think from mine to some degree, we learned it earlier in our careers. So those were things that were important.
Absolutely.
Because where one group of people goes, so can the other. And if we're at odds or not on the same page.
I agree.
So it's great to hear. You then had this great credit training background in banking.
Yes.
You started the Chamber of Commerce. So over the years, you've had members that have struggled sometimes with the business issues. They have a great idea, great product, great group of people, but the execution. So how did you learn to balance the two? Hey, you got the bottom line, credit and P&L and cash flow of your business,
right.
But you've also got to balance it with sustainability in the traditional sense. How are you going to be in business a year from now? How are you going to grow your business? So tell our audience a little bit about how you've managed through those conversations over the years to influence those businesses who are members of your chamber.
Well, at the end of the day, business is about profitability. Business is about return on investment. Business is not an emotional imperative. And so if you start to separate, you get in the conversation and separate those two ideologies, you get on a pathway of working towards building a sustainable business. So we're in Atlantic City now with a cohort of small businesses, and I led the initial session, and we talked about that. Banking, you have to have a banking relationship. You can't run into a bank at the 9th hour saying you need capital to fund a deal, otherwise you're going to lose it. Well, chances are you're going to lose it. You should have had a relationship. The banker knows you, you know the banker. Your statement's submitted to the bank on a regular basis. So they know where you are, and chances are they can turn the deal around. Similarly with, you got to have an attorney in the equation. You got to have insurance. All those pieces come together to get you on the pathway of success. QuickBooks, understanding when your income is coming in, the timing of your income against your obligations. So what does a budget mean? The same applies to managing your personal life. The same applies to running the business.
So balancing those two, understanding the math.
Absolutely.
But also
math doesn't lie, John. People lie to the numbers. My friend says to me, you know, in God we trust, but everyone else bring your data, right? You got to base things on facts, and it's not supposition or emotional jargon. It's about what you put on paper, and it has to make sense.
Right. Well, I'm so glad to know you, to have gotten to know you more as a result of our time together today. Tell me a little bit in closing about what you see for this area. You've got a broader context because you do work on the national front. You're You're an advocate for the Chamber of Commerce at the national level. Obviously, the two Chamber of Commerces that you're president and CEO of. But as you, again, come back to this area and look at your home, what do you see as, we talked a little bit about it earlier, but the attributes of this area that you think can lead us forward, that we really ought to focus on? Is it housing? Is it infrastructure? And are we getting enough focus on those items?
Well, I think both, and they're not mutually exclusive. But, you know, I'll start with the affordable housing piece. The governor put $300 million towards that effort. I think that's great. If we can leverage that with some private money, that may get up into the billions of dollars. The affordability in general in New Jersey is very high, and getting people on the lower ends of the spectrum in a home where they can start to amass wealth and get on the path of growth and sustainability, I think, are all things that we should try to make happen. Infrastructure, there's a lot of money in the economy, both at the municipal, county, and state level. How they're going to spend it so that it makes a difference and transform lives is the question. We still have issues with the trades. They talk diversity, but access, getting other people from different demographics to be a part of that, because those jobs are game changers for people. So I just think, John, conversations like today could lead to the solutions for tomorrow. People just have to muster the courage to sit down over a drink, over a meal, over a hot dog, over an ice cream cone, whatever, and let's talk. Men and women, lay it on the line. If you've never had a black person in your life, well, I'm John Harmon, I'm pleased to meet you, right? And vice versa. We got to figure it out. We cannot form these opinions not based on facts. And I think when we do, we're the beneficiaries of that.
Great. Well, I know I am a beneficiary from having spoken with you more today. Our audience hopefully is, and I think they will be. And I look forward to our next conversation. Thanks so much, John Harmon, for joining us today.
Same here.
All the best.
My brother.
All right.